Wait, one more time. Go back again. Give us a spin. Okay. So what is the question I'm gonna ask you? No, I know. I'm just
Let you paint the sky so
My name is Venegas. I'm originally from Colombia. Immigrated here when I was about 6 years old with my mother and father, brother and sister. Lived in New York for a bit. Lived there until I graduated college. Moved to LA, and now I'm in the Bay Area. I know this is just space that I'm making all my paintings in. It's pretty confined, but it does the job.
Cool. What would you say is the relationship between the actual texture of the brushstroke, the painterly hand, and the content of the paintings?
So obviously, you know, as a painter, you want to strive for perfection in rendering a figure. You know, it's like these masters, they created and, you know, they perfected the act of painting where you really don't see their hand. You don't really see their brushstrokes because they have a technique of blending. You know what I mean? Where it just looks like it was made by a fucking god, you know? And so I, you know, as like a person who's like referencing masters and classical paintings and classical figures and mannerist way of doing figure, I obviously, like, you know, I try to blend the body and blend the, you know, the brush strokes in a way where in some sections it looks pretty, you know, I guess, quote unquote realistic. But then I disrupt the shit out of that by these broad, thick, coagulated brushstrokes of multiple paint. There's something about trying to depict physically capable men and in a landscape or in a composition that makes them completely incapable or asking for help because of this state of despair that they see.
It's interesting because I feel like the curves, like up close, like in this image, for example, the curves of the paint, like itself, seems very, I don't know, my instinct is because the content is so masculine, the form feels almost feminine.
Yeah, I guess I want them, that's not something that I try to do consciously, or, you know what I mean? I guess it just naturally comes out.
Okay.
In the work. And in terms of just like, I don't know, the color palette is just a very warm color palette. I mean, it's
cool.
It's a cool color palette, but with warm tones. And I guess I don't know. There's just there has to be like some kind of connection between the weight of the subject that I'm dealing with and its relation to the color, its relation to the mood that I want to evoke. And so naturally, I mean, phthalo blue and, you know, purple are just like my go-to colors to evoke that.
So what is your process of creating one of these paintings? Do you start at the color, or where does it begin?
Typically begins with a lot of self-references of just myself. I do take some photos of, you know, from Instagram because there is a general trend of a lot of beefcakes just fucking doing their shit on their, you know, profiles, just, you know, doing pumps and doing reps, and it's a constant endless stream of material and references. And
an endless stream of beefcakes.
An endless stream of beefcakes, holy fuck. I never really sketch out a painting. They end up just forming together because I let my paintings gestate for a long period of time. I tend not to work on multiple paintings at a time simply because
I want to give it my all to this one piece. Some of them actually are referenced from a lot of classical paintings, just flipped or isolated. There's like, I just take one figure from one painting, I just isolate it into my composition. And its relation to, I mean, just, you know, the masters in history. I'm working mostly from the Mannerist age. That was just, you know, pioneered by Michelangelo and a lot of, there's this one Dutch painter, his name is Cornelius van Haarlem, and he is, I think he's probably the successor of Michelangelo in depicting beefcakes. The guy was like inventing muscles that just like didn't fucking exist, that I don't think Michelangelo could have fucking even. There's this one that definitely touches upon my abstract phase, and then it morphed into, you know, the figure.
Framed beautifully by Miss Justin herself. Your referencing of classical bodies in grotesque poses or doing violent actions. What is the conceptual process that leads you to this juxtaposition, to use art school word number 1? Unless it's the help thing that you already said.
I think, well, for me, the work that I'm doing and its relation to myself and history, I think, has to do with, I myself work out because I want to be a fucking beefcake. And I want to, the work that I'm depicting has to come through me. And if I'm depicting beefcakes, I myself need to undergo that physical, extraneous relationship with bettering yourself physically. And it, I mean, I think of it as like this like method acting, like method painting, and where, you know, I'm like, I like actively want to morph myself into the paintings that I'm depicting. The compositions of, like, you know, why they're in despair.
Or like their heads are cut off?
Their heads are cut off. Well, that whole series pretty much was catalyzed from this series of Dante's Inferno by Gustave Doré.
Oh wow.
And I painted that shortly after I had lost some friends, just through my own fucking awful behavior. And it's just something that, you know, I had to pay for, which was, for me, it was just like cutting my own head. My friends were my own head, and I saw it as like, you know, self-decapitation. And so it just morphed into something that, you know, it's like it was a coping mechanism.
You might have to speak up because of the fucking freeway right over there.
Practically live on the freeway.
Yeah. What is, okay, classic question. What is your favorite thing to do?
Better myself.
Okay, well, how do you do that?
I undergo like self-inflicted pain through working out and going on long bike rides.
Okay.
Blasting my fucking head with psychedelics.
And how long does it take to complete one painting?
So right now I'm working fairly big, and I don't really want to work small ever again, just because it doesn't allow me the amount of space that I want to depict these gargantuan fucking compositions. Typically it takes me like I'm lying to myself, like 3-4 months. It should take me fucking like 2 months, a month. But since I really just let that bitch gestate for a whole while, it takes me a solid 3 months. I want to taste the painting that I'm eating. If I don't fucking let that shit sit for a while, if I don't chew my painting, then I'm just gonna end up
shit out a full painting.
Yeah. So
That's a flawed, what I just said, flawed metaphor, but.
You know, no, but seriously, yeah. I mean, you want to give it your all to this one fucking thing to make it better. You're done. Move on. Get on to the next better reiteration of the last one. So.
Well, with that, I think I'm done. I need to go on to something better. Well, thank you so much for letting me and the whole internet into your studio. I really, really appreciate it. What a beautiful space.
Yeah. Thank you for filming this.
How does it feel to be famous now that you're famous now?
Honestly, I'm still living in the back of a fucking highway, so.
I got that on camera.